Hello and welcome back to Lord of the Collections. I'm your host, Tyler Macklem, and this is my co-host, Valkers. Thanks for joining us. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future collection videos in Middle-earth. Today we are joined by Benjamin Schenk at the museum in Boundary Lane. We're in the Midwest, so I thought I would represent the best football team in the Midwest. Go Irish.
Nice.
So Ben, how long have you been collecting?
I started collecting seriously Lord of the Rings stuff in 2013, the end of the
Okay.
summer of 2013, probably like late August.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Things started getting intense at that point.
Yeah, that would have been right around the first Hobbit movie, right? That would have
Yeah,
been,
well,
or just
it
before?
was what's that?
Just before it or just after? I can't remember.
No, it was after it. It was
Okay.
after The Hobbit had started back in theaters, but I
Mm-hmm.
started collecting the Toy Biz line
Mm-hmm.
from the Lord of the Rings at that time.
Right. Right.
Is that how your online handle came about? You went from Toy Biz to Polystone?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
explains.
that's why I came up with that name. Started with the
Nice.
Toy Biz, and then I it takes time to break down, going from buying $5 to $10 items to 200 and 300, well, and to where you end up. And who
Mm-hmm.
knows
Right.
where you end up when you start down the path of collecting.
Yep.
I think
So
there's
what,
no, go on. I was gonna
Tyler?
say I was gonna say there's some silly Bilbo quote about a road and
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Put one front foot in front of the other and
uh,
never know where
That's
the way they
right.
take you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what made you start collecting? Like, why do you do it? Did you collect stuff before Lord of the Rings, or was that your entry level drug into the world of collecting?
No, I'm always been kind of a ridiculous person about, different items or different things. Um, but the Lord of the Rings had always been something in the background of my life. And, I think when I started, uh, this collection, I had, I just had, the box sets of the DVDs. And I think, my sister-in-law, and my brother had given me like the Pez set, and I had maybe one other figure, and I went to this toy store around here. It's called the Exchange, where you can, it's a bunch of pop culture items and CDs and records. And some kid had just, turned over most of his collection. I don't know if he was a kid or not, but uh, when I when we saw it, I wanted like three or four pieces, and there was probably like 25 or so from the
Mhm.
Toy Biz line. And I remember, I took a couple of them up there, and I was talking to the guy, and then the guy told us the story. He was like, "Yeah, this kid was in here and sold us these because his mom was going to kick him out of his house if he either had to move out with his collection or sell this. So obviously he stayed with his mom." And I was like, "Well, I got to get these." So I initially took six up, and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, was asking the guy. He's like, "Well, what happens if we buy, all these? Will you give us a discount?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll give you whatever off." I can't remember the exact amount, but so she's like, "Well, let's take it all." So actually, it's my wife's fault that I'm this deep into Lord of the Rings, I guess.
She can't get mad at you when you bring home new
Yeah,
No,
pieces.
I
usually
know.
works the other way around.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
she relit the thing, but I mean, I've always been like a decent fan of cars. I've always had a couple cars, or currently I have a couple Imperials. One of them is a 1964 with a white. It's all white with a black top. I call it Shadowfax. But my collecting goes into everything. I mean, that's why I've kind of limited myself. Like, I occasionally get excited about other collections in different genres, and I know that if I get one, it comes, it multiplies fast. So I try to stick with just the Middle Earth things for my personal collection inside now.
Makes sense.
Very cool.
It's hard, you see some of those Star Wars collections or Jurassic Park stuff, and you're like, oh man, that'd be cool. But then you're like, there's
Yeah, a lot of it for me is like the 80s stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like the He-Man or the Ghostbusters, some of the Back to the Future, stuff that I really, grew up on, I guess, being born in 1981. So
That's fair.
yeah.
I hear you. Yeah, it's it's tough trying to, like, you got to pick a lane,
Mm-hmm.
sort of, unless you have just unlimited funds and you live in a castle. You gotta
Yeah.
go with one passion and kind of just limit yourself to that, because the other thing too is that when you try to display it, I guess some people like that. It becomes a little. I think we saw that with in the Cyber Hobbits collection. I think he had a few different genres in there, and if you do it right and you display it all like thematically, it can look very cool. But to others, it can feel a little bit eclectic, because it's like, it's like when you're going through someone's music collection, it's like, man, you got rock, you got rap, you got classical, and it's all right next to each other, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it could be a little strange. So yeah, I'm one of those that just, a long time ago, I kind of decided to just stick with Lord of the Rings, and then that's it, and that's consumed more than enough money and space, and
Yeah.
anyhow. So on the topic of Middle Earth and these wonderful collectibles that we have from the movies, is there a particular movie out of the three that you enjoy the most, or
Yeah,
are they all kind of just the one work for you?
I mean, obviously you have to watch them all once you start them, but I would
Mhm.
say the first one's my favorite. And just the introduction to the characters, and starting out in the Shire with the birthday party, and I don't know, that movie is my favorite.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the top one for most people, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think they did such a good job of drawing you in with the way that they set that up.
Mhm.
Um, and the end of it has all those wild creatures, the Balrog, the Watcher in the Water, the cave troll.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't
it
know. I
feels the
mean,
most like,
obviously,
I was just gonna
go
say,
ahead.
like, especially if you're a fan of like Dungeons and Dragons, for example, if you've ever played it or know what it's about, or you've read books that are sort of in that genre of the adventuring party and the monsters that they face and the quest that they're on, that's the one that feels the closest to it, because
Yeah,
you got all your companions together and they're on their adventure and they go in through these dangerous places and having these fights. The other ones just feel a little more, definitely more epic in scale, and it draws us into the broader um, world of Middle Earth with the different cultures and all the different places. And by now the Fellowship's broken up, but to me, like, I've been playing D&D since 1985.
nice,
Going
nice.
back a long way. So to me, yeah, that's the first movie is the one that really spoke the most to me, because it's like, yeah, that's just like playing one of the adventures in the game. So
Yeah. Well, I think too, like, you know, Weta had really made the world real.
mhm.
And when you see that first movie, like they really showed it off, like this was Middle Earth was a real place.
Yeah,
And I think that's why I don't know, it's amazing what they did. When you compare it to movies at that era, and obviously even today it's still relevant.
yeah.
It's for all time.
How well they put that together.
Mhm. So Ben, your collection is rather well documented online, and but for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's a rather large collection. Are there any challenges unique to a collection that size that perhaps other collectors maybe wouldn't have to deal with?
Yeah, there's many strange things that you have to learn to deal with when you have a collection this size. But I would say, the biggest pain is, interacting with the boxes, the empty boxes, and especially nowadays, every piece comes in a massive box, and if not one massive box, two massive boxes. Uh, so you got to find space for these things, and I mean, currently I have three different homes that my boxes reside in. Um, Here, my current home, and then some at my uncle's house, some at my mother-in-law's, and so it becomes real, taxing on you to figure out where one thing is, and I mean, it becomes pretty wild. And then for me, like, I'll get these wild ideas in my mind, like, I need four of this one statue or something, and buy four, and then I won't have anywhere to put them. And hopefully down the road I will. I mean, I'm at a point now where I haven't exactly calculated it, but I would say I probably have like 150 to 200 different pieces that I don't even have displayed anymore in the room because I don't have space.
Like the
And it might
size of
even
my whole collection.
it might even and that's statues and weapons and some art, and then I have a really massive poster collection that, I mean, I've never even showed it to anyone, and it's probably 125 pieces in it by itself. So I think that becomes an issue, is like, once my collection got so big, I wanted to go different ways because there's so many different things to collect now. And, when you go back too, there's so many different things prior to the
Yeah.
movies too. That I kind of handcuff myself because I'll be like, what am I going to do? And, that's kind of where my collection's at a precipice now, where me and my wife had been looking for a house to move the collection to. And we're actually going to move into actually, I'll show you where we're moving. Right here. This is the new house. This is actually my family's house. My grandparents bought this house in 1952, but my uncle lives in there now. But there's no space for the collection, so I'm gonna have to build a building, or I don't know. That's still kind of up in the air, but the way forward is it's gonna be pretty wild going forward because of how big the collection is. So
Wild, but exciting.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it, but
Yeah.
it's I mean, I would really like to display, and I mean, I have a 200 plus piece Toy Biz collection that's Lord of the Rings related that I don't have room to display. So I mean, actually, I probably have 500 or 600 piece collection that's not on display because I don't have room.
Man.
Yeah,
I was joking earlier about living in a castle, and you're actually going for it.
I mean, we've priced out building a proper size building for it. Like, for instance, this room right here is 600 square feet, and ideally, I'd like to go 1,800 square feet just for the museum. It's not cheap right now, so another thing I might do is I might keep this house that I'm currently in and make it a museum, the whole thing a museum, because it'll probably be more cost effective to do that than build a new building.
That's an interesting.
I mean, these are crazy plans. I mean, like I said, this, when you manage a collection this size, like, this is where I'm at.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, or yeah, I could curtail it and make it smaller, but
Right.
the thought of that is sad. So I
Mm.
mean, if that that also is, I guess, a possibility if it gets to that point. But um, if I kept this room, I could pull these couches out. I could take the TV out, put some more cases here, run case down the middle, because I wouldn't be here, using the space at very often. Uh, so that could gain some space. I mean, that's something I think about all the time is like, where can I get more space in here? But
Mhm.
you can only get so much. And then if you start cluttering things, it takes away from the overall aesthetic of the collection too.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you started with the Toy Biz figures, and then you moved into the statues. What was your first statue that kind of got you into the other pieces?
Well, actually, my first Weta piece wasn't a statue; it was the staff of Radagast.
Okay.
Um, but my first statue I actually got on Craigslist. It was the Ringwraith on Steed and the Morgul Lord,
Oh yeah.
and I drove to Detroit to get them. It was like a crazy adventure. I used to call it Lord of the Rings Monday. Every Monday, I'd find stuff on Craigslist, and I'd set up these adventures and
Yeah.
just drive within like 300-400 miles of my house. I just set these up in the best way, and just on Mondays, I just go on these crazy adventures getting Lord of the Rings stuff.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Craigslist was a much better place back then. I mean, I remember that Ringwraith on Steed and that Morgul Lord, I think I picked up for like $350, both of them. So
Old days when deals could still be had.
yeah, there was deals everywhere, and I think I
Yeah.
got the Ringwraith sword and the Witch King sword for like $50 for both of them one time.
Mm.
Um, they were like kind of beat up, but I was like, this is great. Like you couldn't find them. That
Mhm.
was before United Cutlery remade everything. So uh, there was there was a lot of crazy deals, and like I said, I had my Lord of the Rings Mondays and my wife would sometimes come with me, or my brother. I'd always try to trick somebody to go on a road adventure with me.
Mhm.
It was fun.
Yeah. Sounds
Sounds
like
like a
it.
fun time.
Yeah. So you mentioned you had a big poster collection, and I see some art prints there behind you.
Yes.
Do you have one that's a favorite one? Like how many have you got, and like how many? Like, do you ever think like you need to rotate them, show them off a little bit, or you just like there's a set that you like, and those are the ones that stay up?
The problem, well, at least I guess this is my problem. I like them like nice and framed and matted. So like to get one of these done is probably around 200 to $300. Um, so like when you commit to do it and then you just let them sit, like it's kind of a lot of money to invest in it. So the ones I have in the room currently are they're from the Hildebrandt brothers. They were twin brothers that painted these together. A lot of these designs, and they had a nice a calendar series that they used to have in the 70s and 80s of their
Yeah.
work. And
Dragon Tim.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I just love their work. It's so vibrant. Um, but I actually have almost every one of their pieces, but I don't have them framed because of the reason I spoke on earlier. But uh, my favorite, I would say, can you see this one over here, or is this outside of the frame?
I can see it.
It's
It's
in the
just
frame, but it's really far away.
All right, well, I'll show it later, but it's the meeting of friends, the Bilbo and the Gandalf. And I actually have a blown up version of this in my son's room. It's like I think it's like 10 feet by 7 or 6 feet.
mm,
And I have a big mural on his wall that I talked to him about. You know, it's a cool. I used to have it in my living room. Then my wife said this is getting out of hand. So,
that's
but
fair.
I still have life size Gandalf in my living room. So at least I got something up there.
You got something up there, yeah.
And the only reason he's up there is I can't get him. I can't get him down the stairs. He's too wide.
Yeah.
So at the end of this, we may have to go up and examine him to finish off this tour here.
I won't say no to that.
Okay, good.
So, this has kind of been a question we've been asking on our collection tours, but what is your favorite and your least favorite piece in your collection? And then, but don't tell us which one's which. And we're going to try and guess which one's your favorite, which one's your least favorite. And when I say least favorite, it's hard to pick, but maybe one that you just don't really, it doesn't fit your collection, or you're not really sure what to do with it, or you know what I mean?
All right. So I just have to give you 2 pieces.
Yeah.
All right. Well, life-size Gandalf. And let me think for a second on the least favorite. Well, I just gave it away. I mean, it's pretty much given away anyway.
Jesse did the same thing.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I don't know. You know, a lot of people don't like. I'll give you one that most people don't like that I kind of like. How about that?
Okay.
The newborn Urukai from the Sideshow Weta line, which is one of the rarest pieces from that line. I kind of like it. Like from different angles, it's kind of a unique piece. But most people, I mean, they thought it looked like crap because, you know, for something as rare as that, like everyone kind of steers clear from that piece.
It is an odd one.
Yeah, I mean, it is odd, and it's made of different material than they made any of the other ones too. It's a very unique piece from the line.
I actually have two Sideshow Weta, and by have I don't mean that I own them, because for obvious reasons. It's in my mind, there are 2 pieces that I dislike more than that newborn Urukai, and that's the Tower Guard Pippin.
Okay,
which I think is just like he just looks like an old lady about to crap her pants. Like the
I'm with
expression.
You on that. I agree.
I hate that statue, and just the fact that they pretty much ruined the theme of the Fellowship by putting the last Hobbit in like gear from the 3rd movie. Anyways, and then I lost my train of thought. Oh, the Haradrim soldier with the sword through the chest or the gut or something. That's just an odd choice and pose, and like I'm like, what were they thinking? Like, I guess they're trying to go for something different, but
yeah,
it just doesn't work for me, and I've always thought that was a bad piece.
Yeah, I totally I mean, now that you brought those up, I would say those 2 are definitely the strangest. Like you kind of wonder what was going on with what they were thinking with those 2.
I remember asking Daniel on the forum why there was no Gondor, but there was a Haradrim with a sword through him. You know, and it's like, you guys will do that, but you won't give us a Gondorian soldier. And you know, essentially, he said, you know, in those early days, they were just kind of doing anything they thought might be cool and seeing what kind of stuck to the wall, you know, essentially. And that was one of those pieces. And by the time they got to the 3rd movie, they had realized, okay, this sells well, this doesn't sell well. And that was one of the cases where the Haradrim soldier did not sell well for obvious reasons. And as a result, we didn't get a Gondorian soldier. So hopefully that's rectified.
All right, so Ben, it's actually been a bit quiet. Oh, no, it's not that it's been quiet. There's been a couple of stuff. Have you received your Elendil?
No, but I had some payment issues, but I got the message and I just paid it off. But I think I got tracking like 2 or 3 days ago, and it normally takes like about a week for it to get from the warehouse in the U.S. to me.
Okay, well,
so I should have
from the
soon.
photos that. Yeah, up here in Canada, me and Tyler, we're still waiting. We've paid. Well, actually, Tyler went through a different because you order from Weta Direct, right?
Yeah, I did on that. Yes.
Yeah. So same here. Though I'm kind of done with them because of UPS, but yeah. So it's paid, but nothing. But there's a lot of other stuff out there. So what are some new things before we start looking at your stuff up close? Can you tell us what you got? That's the newest. We know about Bag End, but what's got you stoked right now? That's come in recently.
I had a custom artist named Mark, make me some. He hand carved some the figures from the Fellowship. That came in the most recent, and then the one before that was Mike Shea prop, uh, the scabbard for the Eldoran dagger,
Mm.
which is a
Jealous.
very nice piece. Um, let's see, like the Gladriel at the White Council was the newest piece I got. I got that. I opened that the other day,
Mhm.
which obviously it's not a new piece, but was
From the classic series.
yeah, the classic series. Yes, I think it's very good. Um, I
You don't
like the
have the lazy
classic
eyes.
series. No, that was the first thing you look for. You always check for the
Yeah.
wonky eye on some of
She
these
look at me straight
pieces.
in the.
Yeah, I
Nice.
stared her down and she looked me right in the eye, so I figured I had a winner there.
That's pretty
Awesome.
good. Not even Boromir could do that.
No, no.
Yeah.
My original Treebeard didn't do it either, so
Oh man.
he got sent back for reassignment as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
it was a tough one. That took 2 years for that to get figured out, for me at least.
Wow.
So I
Yeah.
imagine everyone is wanting to start the collection tour here. And so do you think it would be possible if we can get a just a tour here?
Oh, for sure. All right. I'd keep it sideways, right?
Sure.
Oh, this guy's a really cool piece too that I've never seen another one.
Yeah.
This is called it's called Good Pipe by an artist named Scott Goss. And actually, the only reason it's in my collection is because of Tyler.
Yes, I remember that.
It was at an antique shop in Florida, and Tyler's like, "Hey, I can't go to Florida, but maybe you could figure out a way to get this." And I said, "I will find a way."
Nice.
Mhm.
And
Is that a bronze or a faux bronze or what?
no, it's real bronze and
Nice.
marble and wood. The
Wow.
guy had it for years. No one had any interest in it, and I've tried to find info on it. Can't find any information on it.
It's such a cool piece.
Yeah, it's real cool. It probably weighs, I would say, 40 pounds, maybe 45 pounds, somewhere in there. Pretty heavy.
Mm.
Um, I don't know if you want me to just stop every once in a while or what, how you want me to do this, but
Yeah, sure.
Just stop and comment on things that you enjoy or like or want to show off.
okay. So I just moved Sauron here to kind of open this up. I know, I used to have him where I have the Badali ring collection. I know you have some of these Valkyries, right?
I got all the 9 rings of men,
What do you think of these?
which are really neat.
Uh,
What you got there? You got the 3 elven rings.
It's got all of them, I
You have
think.
this. You have the 7.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
I
got.
got. Yeah, I'm a big. I mean, I think we got these around the same time. Uh, when Badali had like a Black Friday sale.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I really like their interpretation of the 9. I think they're
I did
really,
too.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I would.
7 I'm not as keen on because to me they're just the same ring with a different stone. But I guess, maybe that's, and Tolkien never really described them, I don't think. And we know that we do know from the text that all the 19 rings had stones. The one ring is the only one that was just a pure gold band. So
Mhm.
I think maybe it's the runes, the little red runes that they have around the gemstones. So something about the rings just didn't really grab me. So I
Yeah.
never picked those up. Um,
They remind me of old Stanley Cup championship rings.
yeah, they're kind of like in the style of
Yeah.
those sports rings, with the big stone and
Yeah,
So Ben, do you have a favorite ring wraith piece in your collection?
Yeah, I would say my favorite ring wraith piece would be this guy here, right there.
Oh,
The
the
newer ring wraiths on.
dangerously leaning ring wraith at the Ford.
Yeah,
It is a very cool dynamic piece.
I actually ordered two of these because I wanted to have, a dual display of them, but the second one I got, the back leg was like totally broken, and they didn't have any more. And I knew from that point on this was going to be a scary statue to own
Hmm.
because I mean, who knows what the. I mean, I've never had to pack it back up, but I'm always worried that when I do, something will happen. But
And then,
I think it's a real cool pose, and I kind of like this interesting water feature that Weta was into for that short period of time.
mhm.
It's kind of come back a little bit with the Dead Marshes piece, like with
Yeah.
the air bubbles coming out of Frodo's
Uh-huh.
sleeves and stuff. It's sort
Right.
of reminiscent of that effect, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's true.
Then you got the very rare quarter scale Witch King crown.
Yeah, that was also a piece that I got in an auction that you won pieces at, Tyler,
Yes, yes, I remember that.
from the Dennis Masters collection
Yeah,
in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I got that and like four other helms for like $250.
I remember that.
That was the deal of the day for me.
Yeah. And
I
then
do
you
have
got,
the box for it too, but
oh,
it
nice.
was pretty mildewy.
And then you got the legendary scale Morgul Lord bust. Do you think that is worth the going rate that it's going for these days? It's very high in demand, and it has a legendary kind of status among collectors. Do you think it's worth it?
I think it's pretty cool. I
Mhm.
mean, I think anything it's worth what you're willing, I mean, if you like it, you
Mhm.
know, I think you'll figure out a way to get it. But
Mhm.
I mean, some of these pieces are pretty crazy. The prices that they command. I mean, some people are paying $2,500 for that,
Mhm.
the quarter scale crown. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, someone thinks it's worth that to
Right.
push the market to that price, but I I don't have Sauron, but I mean, I've always been on the search for it, just never clicked.
Right.
Because I think, for me now, since, my collection, the longer I've collected, the less I like seek things. Like I kind of just let them come as they come.
Mm.
Mhm.
If I seek something out, I'm always overpay for it. It's just the way it happens.
Right.
So I just kind of hope one day one will come along and maybe I'll have something to trade for it or get it for a better price than what
Eh,
they're, $2,000 or whatever they're commanding now.
right. I've always loved the display of the Summit Mirror, and then the sideshow pieces of Frodo and
Oh,
Sam and Gollum. I've always quite liked that little corner there in this
oh,
case.
thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I do too. I like how he's hanging over the edge.
Yeah, yeah, I quite like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I got the mini weapons from United Cutlery
Hmm.
because I don't
Cool.
have any room for the big ones. But the minis are actually really cool. I mean, it's surprising that United Cutlery is remaking everything and they haven't returned to making those again
Mm.
because I think they'd sell pretty good. We got the original Argonaut, another Kyle custom, some orcs, some helmets.
That
And then
that Easterling, in my opinion, it still holds up so well.
I like the
Mhm.
Easterling a lot. You're right.
Hmm.
It's a very cool piece and it's very detailed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Menace Tirith. And then this piece is the King Elisar's tomb by Kyle.
Yeah.
It's
I had
it's
one of
massive.
those.
Did you sell it?
Yeah, I sold it to Idril.
Okay.
She was really gunning for one, and it was at a point where I was just running out of space, and I kind of had to make a decision on, okay, I need to cut one or two things, and uh, I don't know why I picked that one, but
I
I'll probably
actually
never
had this
find
out of
another one.
I actually had this out of my collection for about a year or two, and then just brought it back in the last day or so because I missed it.
It's a piece I've always liked, but it also kind of makes me sad. So
Yeah, it's that too, and it's massive. Like
it
it's
is. I
kind of
didn't realize it
deceiving
was that big.
It's quite
because
big.
it's
It's 1/6.
yeah, it's massive. Then we come over here, got a little Balrog area. You got the bust from Weta and the original Sideshow Weta one, and then the newer Weta version with the custom whip by Uli.
Oh yeah,
He's
I
kind of
got one of those too.
That the
he's kind
Daddy
of
Rog to me is still the best Balrog on the market, 20 years going or so.
yeah. It's a it's a it's a well sought after piece for a reason.
Mhm.
It just catches the moment, and so does the original Cave Troll. I
Yeah,
just think those two, and they were very low edition numbers by comparison to most of the pieces in the line because they were $300. But yeah, and then this piece is just amazing too. The Dr. Malcolm Doors of Durin.
yes.
Mm.
He uh he really did a good job with that.
He really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, I wish
And
I
then
was on the list, and then he offered it to me when he was started to make because I was still on the fence. But yeah, so I held out for the Weta one, and then now I regret it because they made that stupid decision to leave the seam out of the doors, and I'm kicking myself because I'll probably still end up picking it up
yeah.
someday, but uh I can't believe they left out such a critical part. Like when that old saying, when's a door not a door? The joke answer is when it's a jar, but here it's like, yeah, when Weta makes one because it's just a wall. It's no seam.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
And we
That
got the sting.
the I was gonna say the Moria Orc Swordsman. Do you prefer that
Yeah.
or the Archer? Do you have a
I like
preference?
them both. I like them both. But I think the Archer is actually kind of cooler in my mind. I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
because you can see his face. I think maybe is more the
right.
reason. I got the Fair that Weta Faramir is actually an amazing piece, and I think now
Yes.
it's really starting to take off uh, because people are really
Oh,
noticing.
this
And
is
I
one
mean,
of the
there's
best ones.
yeah, it is. It's amazing how well that was done, and that bust is just some. It was a Mexican sculptor made that, and
Hmm.
I bought it from him years ago, but it's not a licensed piece or anything. And then I have these are actually made by a custom artist in Germany.
Hmm.
These gargoyles,
Mm.
and they're these are to scale with the action figures from the Toy Biz line.
Oh cool.
Yeah, there's Grand with the escorts by Kyle and Orthnak pre or post ruined.
Mhm.
Then the Barter. This this I had custom painted. You can see like it shows the illumination of the eye on the interior of the fork,
It
and
looks
then
great.
added all these windows, so it gives
Oh,
it
very cool.
a little more life to the tower. Rick Cantu from Cantu Paintworks did all that work on it,
Hmm.
and then you got the Minas Morgul here, which is a great piece. I mean, we got everything else lit up. We got as well light this one up, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then here, this is my tribute to the Toy Biz line. I have these. These are. It's the same figure. It's the Helm's Deep Gimli, and this was only it was a what they called an Australian exclusive. It was only sold in Australia. There was only 500 of them sold. I have 14 of them currently, and only 10 out here. But I probably have the largest Helm's Deep collection in the world.
Somewhere, some Toy Biz collector is watching this, and he's gonna say, "Well, that's why I can't find one."
Well, if somebody reaches out to me and wants one and needs it in their collection, I always sell them one. I probably owned about 28 in my life, but I like having this big collection of them. It's my favorite piece from the line, and it's just kind of cool. But the rarest piece from the line is this. It's this. This is a R1 Asphalot red box. It was only sold in Germany. Maybe 300 of them were made, and most of them were opened. So it's hard. It's very, very hard to find this piece. But anyways, that's my little tribute to it. And then we have Gollum over here wearing all his special attire that he's acquired over the years down here.
He just needs a
Very
mithril
stylish.
vest.
What's that?
Oh, he just needs a mithril vest now, and he'll be all set.
Well, I mean, hopefully we can find him one. And then I'll show you this tank. This has most of the older bad guys in it. The original Cave Troll, Ugluk. And this is obviously a newer Weta piece, the Mouth of Sauron, the Morgul Lord. I got Eowyn back there. Ringwraith on Steed. And then I have another. This was one of the. When I bought this piece, it didn't have a whip. And Kyle actually made that whip for that Balrog. It's not an original piece. He actually made that from nothing. He actually made that from pictures. Because I just sent him the Balrog, or maybe he had one himself. I don't know, but it took him a really long time to make it. But he did an amazing job.
If you hadn't have told me, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, most people don't know.
Yeah.
But the other one that I showed on the other table, I bought it and it was damaged, and I got the whip fixed. But it's a cool piece, obviously, and I enjoy it. So I wanted to display them both. And then over here I have some of Andy Mee's work. You know, obviously this part is a Weta mini, but the rest of this diorama is made by Andy Mee. It's really an amazing piece. And then this too is the same thing. Andy made the diorama, and then the Weta miniatures just fit right into it.
That's probably my favorite Andy piece. I'll probably never own one, but
yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Weta should have made that from the get-go.
Well,
so great.
They wrote a big a thing up on it after he made it. Do you remember that?
I did remember seeing a post on Facebook about it.
Yeah. Well, and Andy made this really cool book about it, the crazy collectibles about this piece here.
Oh yeah.
And I'll show you a little bit of it. It's pretty cool. 14 of 30, and it was a tribute to his father. Celebration of a simple life. But he goes through and he talks about it all and has pictures of the making of the piece. That's I mean, really cool. I was like blown away when I got this. It made it that much cooler, in my opinion. And then down here I have a Hobbiton area. And the piece in the center, outside of the middle piece, which is by Weta, the rest is an Andy Mee diorama to increase and make it look like the original Green Dragon. So it's kind of cool.
Which you can have lunch at these days.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to? Yeah. I mean, the last couple guys you've had on your show had probably ate in there, right? Didn't they eat there?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Then I got all the Fellowship, the original Sideshow Weta stuff, their bus and statue, and then Bilbo's in there too. And then I got some of the horse and rider sets from the original Sideshow Weta line, and then Isildur looking at the ring. I think that's one of their best pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It really draws you into that point during the movie.
It's my favorite Weta piece.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I mean it's so well done. And then over here we have the dwarves from the Hobbit. And then a bunch of the original environments with the prancing pony, which is obviously the prancing pony is a newer Weta piece. The rest are the Sideshow Weta pieces.
It does fit in just perfectly though. Like you,
Yeah, that's why I kept it in there. I
Yeah.
just thought it went, it kind of flows with them.
Mhm.
Uh, and then I have like this Bilbo area down here with the red book and the Arkenstone and some other small jewelry pieces that aren't exactly Bilbo's, but they kind of go together, I thought. And those are those wood pieces I was telling you about, the hand carved
Mhm.
by that Max Daddy guy. I don't
I
know.
like it.
Something drew. I think they're cool. They look like like a 1980s version of Lord of the Rings to me. I loved them.
Yeah.
So he made me that whole set with Merry and Pippin on top of each other. I like that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's got the deed of contract here, down in here, and Sting, Vial, Gladriel.
Is that Hobbit door? Is that a custom piece?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where I got it. It just, someone made it out of wood.
Hmm.
Just something small, little element to add in there to kind of give it a little character.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is actually, Shea props, uh, Doran dagger with the scabbard, and then here's his Boromir scabbard. This is actually the first one he ever made.
They are just they're just stunning pieces. Mike makes some really cool stuff.
Yeah, the detail and his commitment to it is wild. How much time he puts into these pieces,
Yeah.
and I wish there was some way he could get, make more of them without killing himself. Because I know people. There's so many people that I'll post something like this,
Yeah.
and 20 people will message me about those,
It'd
because
be
they
nice.
want to know how to.
Yeah, because then I could get on the list.
Exactly. But then this book is actually, I had Indy make this for me. This is from Indy Magnolia, but this is actually the guest book for my museum. So I had, when people come here, they sign it. And I had this this is the Monograppa Lord of the Rings pen. And people sign the book, and it's kind of a fun experience, and I enjoy that.
I hope to one day be able to sign it.
Oh, I hope you'll be in here too someday. If you're ever in the area, I'd love to show you this and
Yeah, definitely.
hang out. We'll probably get a hamburger or something. I don't know if you're into that, but we can find something you like to eat around here.
Oh,
He's from
definitely.
Alberta. Of course he's into hamburgers.
We do
Alberta
make good
beef.
beef. We do make good beef.
Yes.
Nice. Well, in the top shelf here, I just recently cleared everything off and just made it like a John Howe
Mm.
center for his pieces. The two Weta pieces that flank the Human Witch King. This piece actually here I bought from someone, and it was severely damaged. The wings were blown off. The wood base they'd cut it with a sawzall, drilled holes through it, all kinds of stuff.
Hmm.
Probably because Weta made them do it when they got the newer one or whatever.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was able to get Rick Cantu at not a, it was a pretty good penny to get this thing restored, but I think it was worth it.
Yeah,
Because you just
definitely.
you don't really see them with the wood base. And I just Into Darkness was telling me that the veneer on these was very bad, and Weta just like I said, made you destroy it, and then they'd send you one with the marble base.
Mm.
But it's kind of cool to have the wood base where, because most of them were destroyed.
Yeah.
And this piece is like, ever since I put this piece here, people just immediately are drawn to it, even though, it's not from the movie because it's such a massive piece.
It's massive and it's just different.
Oh yeah. And it's so well done. It's sad that John Howe has just had very bad luck with companies he signed with.
Mm.
Weta, they just did this piece, and the Eowyn and the Nazgul, the Human, they did this piece. And I know Darkseid and him are trying to do 40 pieces or something now. We'll see how many they get done. Hopefully
Fingers
they can actually.
crossed.
I agree. I mean, it's a beautiful line, but the past does not look good for them. I'll just say that.
They have some really cool pieces in their line, and I hope they get made.
Oh, dude, that line is amazing. But at the rate they're going, you're looking at like a 2090 finish date. And I don't know if people will still be into this then. I hope so, though.
One can hope. Lord of the Rings is timeless.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so there's that. Then this tank is kind of just all Hobbit pieces. You got Smog and Radagast and the dwarfs. Bard, Bowman, Azog, Bolg. The Torture. The Torture is a really good piece, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, it's extremely detailed. This Yaznag, this was the deal of the day when Weta was throwing these away for 1999.
Yeah.
Because I remember opening this piece and I'm like, I cannot believe the amount of detail that they've added to this guy. The skirt and the skull, it's crazy how cool that piece is.
Mm-hmm. Did you order the new Smog?
Yeah, the I guess that should be shipping soon. I think I've heard that potentially that could be shipping in the next week or so.
Hmm.
We'll see if that's true or not. And then I got the little Amen Hen scene here with the Kyle statue, as well as all the Weta versions that have been released so far.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Is that the United Cutlery or the Indie Booth one?
Yeah, that's the Indie Magnolia version.
Okay.
And then before I get to the elves, this piece is kind of really cool. I found this shadow box on Craigslist from a guy in California. So I mean, it's a custom piece. Somebody made it, and I mean, just look at they got the Elvish rune detail all the way
Oh, cool. I've never noticed that.
on the interior, and then it's just a basic set of United Cutlery wood handled fighting knives, and then they got the Orlando Bloom nameplate, and then this cool scene of him. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that, so I thought it was kind of a cool pickup.
No, that's pretty cool.
When I found it. And then I got this Treebeard area here, or Two Towers area, featured in Treebeard, I guess. And we got a bunch of different characters in here from the Two Towers.
Did you order the new Saruman on Throne?
Yeah, I have it, but I have not opened it, sadly.
Oh yeah.
There's no room. And I kind of, if I open something, I end up ripping my whole room apart trying to find a spot for it. So I best just leave it boxed.
The temptation.
Yeah, I just can't control myself. So here's the Shea prop Boromir dagger. That's a really good, nice piece. I think that was the second one. And then this is like my elf area. There's some Hobbit pieces mixed in, and then you have the custom fountain by Kyle.
It's a great tank.
Yeah.
And then up here I have. Oh, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Oh, I've often wondered, when was the last time you played darts, Ben?
Oh, when Treebeard arrived, Treebeard immediately put a pause on dart playing for life, I think.
Well, you could try a new game where you throw the darts, but you just try to avoid Treebeard. Very.
That's right. Yeah, we
Russian
could.
roulette.
Exactly. I always found it cool. Like I saw someone else that put this orc here, and I
Yeah.
always thought it was kind of a cool thing. So I mimicked it, but it was someone else's idea. It was kind of cool. And then got the Asphalov, R1 Asphalov, Sick Frodo. And then the Fellowship set that no one seems to be able to find set 1 or 3 or 2 anymore.
No.
This is probably my favorite custom piece for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Witch King crown by Shea Props. So he made it out of pewter. Very cool piece.
Very cool.
And then I got these guys blocking the safe here.
No admittance.
That's right. They protected. They keep the order down here.
So Ben, tell us a
Uh-huh.
bit about your custom pieces. Would you recommend custom pieces to collectors?
I mean, I think like for me, I try to collect a lot of different things, and you get to a point where like it's easy to collect the new stuff. You could just order it on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's no real personal connection.
Right.
So I guess like if you like connecting with people and you like, interacting with artists that are making things that you enjoy collecting, I would highly recommend doing this because you're going to have a much more personal experience buying this piece from Mike than buying this piece from Weta.
Right.
For sure.
And I think that that's the beauty of it. And like I said, with those hand carved pieces from that guy was very cool. I interacted with him every day. He was sending me photos of the pieces as he was making them. I mean,
Oh,
I don't
nice.
know. I love that part of it.
Yeah.
Having more involvement. I mean, not necessarily saying anything like, "Hey, I want you to do this or that." Let them do their artistic thing, but
Mm-hmm.
just feeling like you're part of the process of making the piece. And then it adds to the story when you have the piece in your collection.
Yeah. Well, and then like the chances of a company, a licensed Crown of the Witch King coming out anytime is fairly slim, right? And so it's a cool way to add that
Yeah.
to your collection.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen it a couple times there. I gotta ask, where did you get that rug with the Lord of the Rings symbol there?
This one here.
No, the blue one with
the
the
blue one.
logo. Yeah.
I think I got these all on eBay at different points, and it was probably made in, some weird warehouse in China that they just had the image for a period of time. Because I get on there now and I try to find it, and I haven't been able to re-find it for a couple years. So, you might be able to if you keep searching it, but the way I found it is I just looked up Lord of the Rings rug on eBay, and I, found them. I have another big black one too, but I don't have it in the room currently. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
kind of
really cool.
Etsy
And
is
if
great
if
for
you
that
look
stuff.
if you look at it, each one of these little quadrants is an actor from the movie.
Yeah. You can see
Yeah,
that is cool.
Sam.
Like you don't really notice it until you get down to it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
I mean, it's usually the last place on anyone's collection that you would expect to find a collectible is actually as part of the floor. I think yours is the first one I've seen that has these kind of things. No, I'm serious, and I've seen a lot of collections, and that's just like talk about maximizing your space.
That's right.
So I see
Yeah.
down there the master replicas Sting, Ben. How does that compare to the United Cutlery one?
I mean, it's much cooler because it can do this.
That is very cool. You better watch your works in here.
I just love this piece. I mean, it's actually it feels nice in your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got good detail to it. And in recent times, they've been getting a little more expensive and harder to find.
Yeah.
The only thing, it uses this it uses two of these really crazy camera batteries
Hmm.
that are relatively expensive to find nowadays. But other than that, it's a cool piece for sure.
Very cool.
And there's the Dream Spear, I guess, is who makes this.
Yeah.
Yeah. John
And then
Lowe.
yeah, John Lowe. And then this was made by Robert Cleat, like just a normal collector guy that made some of these in his house. And I bought that from him a couple years back. And then the 1/30th Dolgador set, and
The
Weta
ill-fated set. Yeah.
Weta quit making pieces, so I just started shoving eagle moss stuff in here to fill it out from the Lord of the Rings. But I wish that I kind of thought that was cool, but I always thought, when you're going out on a venture like that, you would want to do something that was from Lord of the Rings that would have a bigger pull to
Yeah.
people. But
Mhm.
I think
I
they
think that
picked the
was,
wrong
yeah, they definitely
scene,
did.
wrong movies to go with.
Yeah, and I think it sealed its fate.
It's a cool idea. I think if they had done like Weathertop, it would have done well.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I doubt they'll go after it again. I mean,
Mhm.
they pretty much gave those away at the end.
Yeah.
But now they're starting to, people are paying pretty good money for them again. It's just really weird how that works. But it makes sense because they didn't make a lot of them.
Well, it's like when really obscure or bad movies suddenly become like cult classics down the road and everybody suddenly has to see them. Or if you're considered to be in when you're a fan of a particular movie that nobody else has heard about, kind of thing. And suddenly it's like the same with some of these collectibles.
Right. Exactly.
And there they
And
are. See, I was sorry to interrupt. Those two stands, I've seen
yeah,
those for sale. That's from Houghton Mifflin, I think,
yes.
book
Yeah,
company. They were
correct.
these weird display cases or plinths or whatever you call them that they had. And I saw a couple. They were for like pretty cheap. I could have grabbed one and thought that would be just so cool to display something on. Now I actually see the scale with the helmet on top. And I thought if anyone, I've never seen one in anyone's collection. I thought if anyone's got one of these, it's got to be Ben. And you are almost at the end of the going around your room. And I was starting to despair that I would see one. I was about to hold up the photo and see, have you ever seen one of these? But yeah, there they are. He's not. He's got two, of course. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I really remember these, like going to Barnes and Noble at the time of the movies, and seeing the no admittance bookends, propped up on that, in the retail setting. So when I saw those come up on eBay, I was like, I got to get one of them, and then I ended up getting two. But they're just so cool, and they,
Yeah.
it says Sideshow Weta Collectibles on one side, Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
and then let's see, it also says the Houghton Mifflin company too on the one side as well.
Yeah.
So you got all the companies represented there.
That's
And then
awesome.
this big guy here is the Halamau quarter scale cave troll. This thing ships in 3 boxes. I remember when I got it, I was like, well, when I ordered it, the guy was like, I think I paid $1,000 for it. And it was like way overextended. It was like a year late.
Hmm.
And the original shipping quote was $300. And the guy's like, well, it's going to cost 1,000 to get it shipped to you. And I was like, I paid 1,000. It's going to cost 1,000. I was like, okay, I'll pay you.
Hmm.
And I just wanted it so bad, and I mean, there's so few of them now because of that. No one wanted to pay that money. So, you rarely see it. And it's just an insanely large piece. It takes up so much space. I
Right.
used to have it, on one of the walls, but the hand sticks out too far. I needed to allocate this corner so that people didn't run into it
Mhm.
when they'd come down here. So, but I love it, and I hope I get to keep it forever. I definitely
That's
don't want
really
to
amazing.
I definitely don't want to repack it. I can tell you that.
So,
But there was an exclusive version that had Balin's tomb in the middle,
oh,
and I
cool.
think 6 of those were made. Um, Sadly, I was like number 7 or something, so But there was only supposed to be, I think, 50 made, and I don't think they even got 20 of them out.
Huh.
So you rarely see it in anybody's collection.
Yeah.
So that's one collectible that you didn't pass on, but are there any that you regret passing on?
Yes. The one I regret most, I actually ended up buying, but then there's another, but they're both Gandalfs. The first one was life-size Gandalf.
Right.
There was a period where it came up on sale on eBay, and I had the deal all straightened out, and I kind of talked myself out of it because it was a lot of money at the time to me.
Mhm.
And then the guy sold it like a week later.
Hmm.
And then I told myself then, if I ever see a life-size Gandalf come up for sale on eBay, I will never pass it up. And then about a year later, the guy who bought that one couldn't get it into his house, and I was like, I'm buying that. So I ended up getting it.
Hmm.
But the one that really got away that is sad is I had a chance to buy the bronze Gandalf for $12,000 in
Yeah.
2020, and I was like, I can't really afford it. Like I could have, but I was kind of screwing around, and um, then he ended up listing it again, and he sold it for 15 grand a year later, and I was willing to buy it then, and some other guy got it. It's just crazy how that stuff works out.
Hmm. I think I remember
Because
seeing that on Facebook.
yeah, sadly, I'll probably, it's a hard one to come by, but maybe I'll get it someday.
Yeah.
You never know.
There was another one that came up that was slightly damaged, I remember.
Yeah, there's a lady in New Jersey that had a pretty big collection of stuff that was all of it was pretty damaged. It's weird.
So I see the legendary scale Balrog class down. How does that compare to the Weta one? Which one do you have one that you prefer?
I think it's interesting in its own right. I mean, it seems a little less detailed than the Weta version,
Hmm.
but I kind of like the flames a little more on this one.
Right.
I don't know. They're each cool in their own way, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite piece from the original Sideshow Weta line, the cave troll.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of like the this tank is what I call like the fellowship tank.
Hmm.
I have the three baddies. I got the Watcher, the cave troll, and the Balrog, and then there's the
Oh yeah,
the
there's
archer.
the archer and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this book, is I'm trying to simulate the Balance Journal, but it's actually an 1878 Bible,
oh, interesting.
and
Cool.
it's actually very, very cool when you open it. Like it's got this whole history of the family that originally had the book,
Hmm.
and it's got these claps on it. I mean, it's really, really cool book, but it goes really well with Lord of the Rings, so I added it to the tank.
Yeah.
And there's the Master Collection.
Gandalf on cart and
Yeah,
the Elven
Hmm.
Swordsman and
Dark
Dark
Galadriel,
Galadriel. There's
MC Gollum.
the MC Gollum is my favorite MC
yeah.
to date, but I just think it was the most detailed and well thought out
Hmm.
because it has all the cool stuff. It's got an interesting number
Yeah.
that's relevant to Middle Earth. It's got the cool box. It's used extremely unique materials that most of them didn't use. And then Gollum himself, it's just wild how well he's done.
Oh yeah.
And,
I think
and his eyes.
it's the best Golem out there in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very well done. And then we go up. And then this is kind of like the whole front of this is all Hobbit pieces. This is a custom piece. The Goblin King by Ruggiero. In 1/6. He's the only person to attempt, at least that I know of, making this wild looking ugly guy.
Yeah. He sure
Just
is
look at
nasty.
him.
He sure is
All these-
nasty, isn't he?
Oh, dude, he's wild. I love it.
That's an acquired taste, that guy.
Yeah. There's his little buddy, the scribe.
Kind of
Well, I don't
reminds
know.
me of.
He really, Ruggiero did a lot of work on this. It's very cool. And this is, I mean, I believe this to be like a real piece of wood. It
Oh,
feels
yeah.
like it to me. I'm not sure, but it's really cool how he's got all these interesting materials in it.
He
And
in
then,
that setup there, he kind of reminds me of Jabba the Hutt and Salacious Crumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got the heads. It's a pretty cool piece.
Mhm.
But and then you got up here we got a little bit of the we got some fell beasts. I got two of them, one with the face mask, one without. And then there's the Dreamscape Arkenstone, or I don't know, he has a special name, Artenstone, I think he calls it, so he doesn't get sued. And
Yeah.
then there's my uncle and my grandfather.
Nice.
And then there's the Baron's house. Balrog. This is the midget gentle giant version. I always wanted the big one, and then Queen Studios made the dream come true.
Ah, yes.
So I didn't have to. That's another one I missed out on, but since I got the Queen Studios, I've kind of forgotten about it. That's a custom piece by a Russian artist. That
The Aragorn.
I don't know. I don't know much detail about it, but
Huh.
I bought it on eBay from some guy in Russia who made it. And then the Dwarven Miner. And then this the map of the Lonely Mountain actually has a light that will illuminate the runes.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a pain to get to, so I don't normally turn it on. So
No worries.
and then the back here, I got the newest Weta Galadriel, and then these are the those Hildebrandt prints and some United Cutlery swords,
Mhm.
King Theoden's and Eowyn. This Argonath print's really cool. It's really hard to see. Sorry, with the lighting, the way it's reflecting off of there, you can't really see it that well.
Oh yeah.
But this is the one. This is the one I was speaking about when we first
Okay.
started.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have a big version of that. And then the final thing we can talk about, I guess, is this guy.
Big guy.
The
Sure
one
is
that
huge.
Weta sold. The Weta one that sold out in 2 weeks. It's been for sale on last chance for the last year and a half.
And just
But,
the space needed for that sucker.
Oh, this piece, I don't even know if I when I first got it, I kind of wanted to put it against the wall, and you just can't do it. This piece is insane any way you look at it. Like, it's just wild how, like, because of the tree going behind the base, and then obviously the antlers,
Mhm.
and then they shoot off on the one side. Like, it's very difficult to get us. And this isn't necessarily a safe space, but I've had it here for a couple of years now. No one's knocked it over, so I guess I'm doing all right.
Knock on some wood.
Yeah, exactly. Some fake wood. Here we go.
Yeah. Very
But
cool.
it is a cool because I have the Infinity Studios the ring wraith bust, and I was
Oh, yeah.
considering changing this out for this video, but it's too much work to put this thing back in its box. I saw Jesse do his, and I was like, nah, I'm good. Did you see Jesse do that?
Yeah, and he had to assemble it and disassemble in the
Yeah,
case.
he was like inside his little hut disassemble. I'm like, nah. I mean, I don't even have to do that, but I'm not doing it. Because the box for this thing is, I mean, it's not at my house either, so I'd have to go get it. And the two boxes are the craziest things in the world.
Mhm.
So I don't know,
So
but
having
it is a good piece.
yeah, it's a master collection. It will be good. It might be the last master collection when it makes from the Hobbit, but
That's true. Well, they might do Smog. That's about the only two they'll feel comfortable doing, I think.
yeah. So having collected since 2013, Ben, you've been in the game a while now, 10 years. What advice would you give to new collectors getting into the hobby?
Let me turn this around. New collectors getting in, I would just say, collect what you like, and I think too, like a lot of misconceptions are made about, um, when you see a big collection, you're like, man, that must be nice. You built this thing and look at it.
Hmm.
But I think people forget that this collection was once just what I spoke on at the beginning, a couple, extended DVDs and some Pez sets.
Mhm.
So you can't get discouraged. If you see a big collection, it should motivate you and not be like, man, I'll never have that. Because I used to look at Into Darkness's collection, and there was this other guy that just collected Toy Biz named Irigu from Australia. And back when I started collecting the Toy Biz, there was no information on the line anywhere. So I would just reference this guy's YouTube video, and I'd go like, I'm gonna go find these pieces and buy them because no one else is looking for them. And he was like the guide. And since then, Donnie Kreider and a couple other guys have really put together a nice list of what's available and what's out there. But I would just say, man, collect what you want and talk to these people. Like, I love talking to new collectors and figuring out, helping them, point them in the right direction, and telling them what not to do and what to look for.
Right.
But really, like, stay within your budget too. Like, if you're going out there and you're blowing down on your credit card at 19% interest to buy statues and not paying it off, you should probably reconsider what you're doing.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, neat.
'Cause I know-
So what do you think of the stuff that's like been released this year? Like, and what's coming down the pipe, or is there something that you hope to see? It's an anniversary year, so
Yeah. Recently that, I'm really looking forward to seeing, what they come out with for, the San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know if they're going to do it from New Zealand again or if they're going to come here to America to do it, but I'm sure that they're going to come with their best they can because this is the final anniversary year.
Mhm.
So I'm sure we're going to see some pretty interesting pieces, hopefully. I mean, I
Yeah.
know Jesse spoke on it, I think, or maybe not Jesse, but I really would love to see like a Sam and Frodo and Shelob.
Hmm.
That would be my dream, but I mean, hopefully we get that as the master collection, but that may be probably will be some Mount Doom piece, but
I think anything they do will be cool and it will be big for the master collection this year. And I hope Sam versus Shelob gets done at some point. I think that would be a very cool piece that needs to happen.
yeah.
And hopefully Weta can deliver. But I agree. I think there's going to be some really cool big pieces coming out this year. It's exciting to speculate on what's going to come out. That's half the fun for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully everyone gets a little bit of something that they're hoping to see this year.
I just hope we get, stuff that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
These rehatches of pieces and I get it, Weta's kind of forced under the gun now. They used to be the only guy in town.
Right.
Now they have competition of the highest order, people stepping into their terrain and they're, redoing pieces because other people are going to do it. But
Mhm.
I hope that that's not, what we get down to. I hope we get some pieces that are, like I said, like the Shelobs and the Sam and maybe, some fountain guards or, something interesting that, people want to see. Denethor,
Theoden
stuff.
on Snowmane.
Okay, Theoden on. I mean, for sure. I mean, I'm in for anything that hasn't been done, or
Yeah.
That's my take. Because like I said, I think they're just getting hammered from so many different. It's crazy. I mean, Queen Studios made that Balrog, and now they're saying they're stepping out of the game because there's
Huh.
too many people in it.
Huh.
And it's true. I mean, there's only so much money in the collecting field for Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, if everybody's vying for that money, a lot of companies are going to struggle.
It's just a matter of make something that hasn't been done yet. That's not out there. There's still 20 years and there's still characters and moments from the films that hasn't been done.
Well, and Weta's notorious for doing that. I mean,
Yeah.
they've put out things that no other company would even attempt.
Oh, like Leaf Lock.
Yeah, like Leaf Lock for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even Treebeard. I mean, that was. I mean, at the time, maybe somebody now, but you got to think like at the time when they put that out, that was very risky maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell the way
yeah.
that they sold that piece. I know it sold out in 45 minutes, and everybody was fervorish for it. But they were scared. I mean, they issued a $400 coupon to people that pre-bought it because they were scared it wasn't going to sell. And they hit a home run because the original Master Collection piece didn't move.
Nowadays,
I mean, at $17.99, like no one was even touching Gollum when it came out.
Yeah, it was pricey back.
But that's what I'm saying. Weta has always been on the forefront of innovation and the piece, and I mean, to me, they are Middle Earth.
Yeah,
they made it. They made it, and their depiction is what I think of when I think of Middle Earth.
I had mentioned this to Daniel, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. But it would be really cool to see replicas of the concept maquettes that were made for the pre-production, and they're doing this in the Star Wars collecting community. They're going in and they're laser scanning these concept maquettes, and then they're making replica statues of it. And it would be pretty cool to see Weta go in and scan those concept maquettes that were made for the movies and just release a replica of it. They might be in a goofy pose or something, but that is it's a piece of, well, it's a replica of a piece of movie history, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be a cool thing. And then the other one was the storyboards by Christian Rivers. I think that would be a really cool, like art print to get the storyboards done up as an art print. I think that would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of cool things, and I mean, I just don't know, man. It's so hard now with so many things out there.
It is. There's a lot of choices.
And I don't have any space, so I've kind of just, I have so many Prime One pieces. I've never even opened them. It's wild. Like, so I like I said, I've been focusing on these custom pieces, and like I said, if Weta releases some of these other, pieces that I don't have, then that's the stuff I need to concentrate on for my personal collection. How many Saurons and how many Smogs or how many Gandalfs do I really need in one collection?
That's fair. Well, Ben, thank you so much for the tour and for taking the time to kind of talk about it and your passion for collecting and for Middle Earth. It was great to be able to just kind of sit down and visit with you a bit about it. So, we've had you on the show a couple times, and it was about time we did a collection tour. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy spending my nights with you guys in the basement.
That's pretty awesome.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, man.
Have a good night, Val.
Thanks.
Good night, and see you later, San Diego.
See you, Tyler. See you guys.